Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I'm your host, Paula Taylor, and this is episode 62. So tonight we're going to talk about spiritual bravery. And I'm going to start by expressing something out of spiritual bravery, and then we'll kind of delve into exactly what I mean by spiritual bravery. So I've been hiding something from you, from the world. I've been inauthentic about something out of fear. I've been hiding my more mystical, my more out there work out of fear of seeming too weird or unapproachable. Part of the reason I do this work is because I want this to be accessible to everyone. I want energy work to be accessible to everyone. I want everyone to do spiritual work the way that I have been for so long. But that's kind of it. I've been doing this work since I was 16 years old. That's over 25 years. And that's a lot of time for growth. That's a lot of time for integration. And so what I realized this week is that I also have to honor where I am in my journey. And I feel like I haven't been doing that. And it was out of fear, and I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about and why. So I'm talking about dimensional frequency expansion, which I have mentioned a couple times on the show. But I want to just be very clear about what it is, because this is part of my spiritual bravery, kind of putting this out there. I was called by crystalline beings from another dimension to hold and share frequencies that have the power to shift life on this planet. And that's a mouthful. And it's also kind of weird sounding. And I know that. And that's partly why I haven't really talked about it. It's partly why I haven't been moving forward with sharing it, because I have been in stagnation. I have been in fear about really getting that out there. And some of it is about not knowing exactly where it came from, not knowing all the ins and outs of it. But what I realized as I started delving into some of these fears this week is that I don't need to know that stuff. I'm just a channel. I am the channel for this dimensional frequency expansion. I am the channel that called these frequencies into this dimension. There's 4 layers of frequency, and these frequencies are here to help us grow, are here to help us move forward as humans in our next level of development. And I'm not unique in this. The reason this came to me is because I've been doing this work for so long, because I started at 16 questioning spirituality and learning about spirituality, because I started a pretty regular yoga practice and Kundalini yoga practice at 19. I have been doing this work for over 25 years. And so I am a vessel. I am an open channel, an open vessel. And what that means is that sometimes crazy shit comes through me. That's the first time I've ever sworn on this show. And I just realized I'm going to have to bleep that out on the podcast or I won't be able to call it clean. But it felt appropriate in the moment. So what that means is that I'm going to start talking more about that stuff. Absolutely, we are still going to do the work we've been doing. We're still going to do Wind Down Wednesdays. Nothing's changed in that way. But I realized that being authentic to me not only serves me, but it serves you. So the other thing that's going to start happening is that I am going to start offering some workshops and one-on-one expansion ceremonies for those who feel called to hold and share these dimensional frequencies. And the workshop came to me fully formed intuitively. So the workshop is really just going to be an introduction for anybody who wants to learn about this, to experience the feeling of having these dimensional frequencies come into your field. And then the one-on-one expansion ceremonies are more for people who want to hold these energies themselves, who want to share it with other people, to go on and kind of progress through these layers. And I will tell you what, this is heavy work. It's beautiful work and it's amazing work. But that selenite layer, that's the 4th layer. I have sealed that layer now, but it was it kicked my butt. It was a difficult process of illumination, of excavation. I've been doing this excavation for a long time. And as I mentioned, I think that was last week, we talked a little bit about video games and leveling up. So I've been leveling up for 25 plus years. So I'm on a level where I know how to excavate. I know how to do the work I need to do. And I still get my butt kicked because, as I said, as you level up, your challenges level up. And so, as I said, anyone can do this. Anyone can become a channel. Anyone can bring these kind of things into this physical reality. And in fact, everyone has a path here. Everyone has a divine mission. And I realized by not being open about these dimensional frequencies, by not starting to put them out and share them with the world, that I was not serving my divine mission. Whew, okay. So that was a good example of spiritual bravery. Man, when I was thinking about this morning, I was just like bawling. So I'm really glad that I got through that. And I share this with joy, but I do share this with a little bit of trepidation because I recognize that it sounds a little bit wacky, but I also recognize that if there's one thing I've learned in doing this work is to keep opening your mind, to keep opening to possibilities. You know, a lot of people don't think that it's possible to communicate with loved ones who've passed on. And I understand that, but I've done it. So I know that it's possible. And some of this work is experiential. And until you have one of those kind of heart-opening, mind-blowing experiences, absolutely be skeptical about it. But keep doing the work because you'll get to that place where your mind will just be blown. And to me, it happens to me like daily now. And now I'm getting teary because it's such a powerful work. And if you keep doing it, it has such vast rewards. Okay, I already got distracted. So let's talk about spiritual bravery. First of all, why am I calling this spiritual bravery? Why not emotional bravery or there's physical bravery, there's mental bravery. Spiritual bravery is deeper. And what I just shared with you, that absolutely required emotional bravery. That was vulnerability. And that always requires emotional bravery. But spiritual bravery comes from a deeper place. It comes from this deep place of intuition and knowing, that feeling that you have to do, say, or be something. And I feel like most of us have experienced that at some time or another, where you've just got this strong need to share something with someone, to do something, whether it's, to quit your job or take a new job or not take a job, or, in your personal life. This is this intuitive knowing that comes from deep down. And it's really a merging of that energy we call in every week, that divine energy. That's where our intuition comes from. But the strength of being able to carry it out, that's where the bravery comes from. And that's a deep, earthy, deep belly kind of knowing and steeling yourself and calling that bravery, calling that courage up. So it is spiritual. It involves all layers of our being. It involves that energy that comes in through our head. It involves the physicality of being on this planet, because you can't serve a divine mission if you're not here, right? So, and for a long time, I didn't want to be here. I didn't really like it here. I didn't like having a physical body. And that's been a lot of my journey for the last year or so. I did all the spiritual stuff first and left the physical kind of to the end. But what I recognize now is that everything is connected. So you can't be spiritually powerful if you're not connected to your physical body. You can't be physically powerful if you're not connected to your spiritual body. Not in the true sense of the word. I mean, you can overpower someone physically out of a place of, not spiritualness at all. But to really be effective in this world, I was just doing the podcast where I talked about the car dealer and the experience I had of opening my energy, and all of a sudden people weren't coming anywhere near me. This spiritual work has real world results. And again, even if people aren't aware of it, they respond to it. So being fully aligned with all of these layers of your being, that is what allows us to be effective in the world and allows us to serve that divine purpose that we're here to serve. So spiritual bravery is about honoring your soul, your divine mission, and your path. And the words that came to me as I was writing this evening were leap of faith. And I think everyone has heard that idea. And the first thing that always comes to my mind when I think about a leap of faith is the scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think that's the name of that one, the one with Sean Connery, where they're trying to get to the Holy Grail and they're going through all these like tests. And one of the tests is that he has to step out into nothing and really believe that there's a bridge there because the bridge is invisible. That is a leap of faith. And spiritual bravery is about taking a leap of faith. And again, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes maybe it's physical, it's actually leaving a situation or getting into a new situation or changing your physical environment in some way. It's all levels of our being, but it comes from that deep space of knowing that the universe is here to support us, that we have a mission to serve, and that we will be supported if we jump into that mission, if we open ourselves, if we become a vessel of intuition and divine love, then we leap into that and magical things happen. Amazing magical things happen when you take a true leap of faith. And it's hard, it's scary. And so we're going to work with that a little bit tonight. So spiritual bravery really requires confronting your deepest fears. And this is where this whole topic came. As always, it came out of something that I've kind of been dealing with. And the other day I was doing some work on myself and I was working. I've really been working in this kind of what I call the cave, which is the sacral chakra, that second chakra, and your solar plexus. So that kind of from the pelvis up to the rib cage is this cave. And so I've been excavating in this cave for a while now. And so I was exploring in my cave and I was like, I found this giant fear monster. And that's kind of the way that I saw this was like a little kid who thinks there's a monster under the bed and they kind of like pull up the sheet and like look under the bed. And then there's actually something there. That's how this was. It was like, I looked under the bed and like, there's the fear monster. And it's like, oh my God, what was that? That's gigantic. Like, where did that come from? Like, I thought I had worked through a lot of my fear and, you know, we excavate and then we excavate deeper and we excavate deeper and that work never stops. The fear never goes away. But the tools that we develop, the work that we do allows us to excavate deeper and deeper. And so when we see the giant fear monster, yeah, we might retreat, you know, we might kind of go, oh my gosh, I don't know what that was and step out a little bit. And that's completely fine. You know, I say this probably every week, but it's important to be gentle. It's important to go at your own pace. And we're going to do that a little bit in the meditation tonight. So we're going to make friends with our fear monster. And we can do that in stages. The first thing, as always, is awareness. There's a giant fear monster there. I guarantee you that in your belly somewhere, there's a giant fear monster. No matter how much work you have done there, or maybe it's not giant, you know, maybe it's smaller, but there's a fear monster for sure down in your belly somewhere. So maybe tonight, the work that you do is just like peering under the bed and like looking at it and recognizing that it's there. That is a huge step. Awareness is a huge step. And a lot of people never even take that step. So then maybe the next step is like, you know, poking at it a little bit like, oh, how is this? Like, how big is this really? Is it going to bite my finger off? Like, what is this exactly? That's that clarity, kind of recognizing what is this fear? Where is it coming from? You know, is this a safety fear? Is this a scarcity fear? What is this deep fear? Is it a fear? Is it a worth fear? Is it a fear that if I start talking about dimensional frequency expansion, that people will think I'm crazy and they will stop engaging with me? You know, there's all of those. And underneath that is that worth fear that I've been dealing with, is that safety fear that, you know, I might not be safe. I mean, people in not so distant past, we burned people that we thought were witches. So having a safety fear about being different, about being psychic, about being intuitive, about being mystical, it's a real fear. It's a absolutely authentic, legitimate fear. So we slowly make friends with our fear monster. Maybe we leave it some racist pieces. I'm going with a lot of movie references tonight, like in E.T. Maybe we leave it a little present, because this is the thing. If we can make friends with our fear, if we can send love into our fear, then it's no longer a monster. Then it's our fear friend. There was a movie when I was a kid, I think it was called Little Monsters, where there were monsters under the bed, but they were actually like friendly monsters, and they took Fred Savage off into this like little monster world, and I don't remember the details, but think of it in that way. Like, your monster can actually be your friend, and you're never going to know that. First of all, if you don't acknowledge that your monster's there, and second of all, if you don't try to make friends with anybody, it's not going to happen. They don't just like magically show up. It takes some effort. So maybe you gift your monster something. Maybe you try holding hands briefly with your monster. Like, eventually you're going to get to the point where you fully embrace your monster, and you say, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do this anyway. And that's what spiritual bravery is. Whew. It's that feeling that fear and doing the work anyway. It's feeling the fear and continuing to excavate and continuing to look at it and continuing to acknowledge that you are a divine being who is here with a divine purpose. And you're not serving your purpose if you're constantly in avoidance, if you're running away from things all the time. And a lot of us spend most of our lives in that avoidance. And I know why. Fear is scary, but it's less scary when you actually really look at it. That big giant scary monster turns out to actually be your friend when you allow that to happen. So I'm going to say this one more time before I talk about the meditation. Spiritual bravery allows us to feel our fear and to do this work anyway. It allows us to call on that strength that we've been building for 62 weeks now. All the breathing we do, the oxytocin breathing, all the meditations that we do every single week, we are building spiritual strength. Just like going to the gym and working out physically, we've been building spiritual strength. And that's over a year of weekly meditations. So you're already on the road, even if you never did this before, and even if tonight's your first, you can always start new. But if I know some of you have been here for every single episode, so you've already been doing this excavation work with me for a year, and you've made progress, whether you recognize it or not. You've built strength. So it's time to call on that strength and call up this spiritual bravery. Connect, as we always do, to that intuitive light, and then call on that bravery. And maybe have a little bit of love for our fear monster. Maybe leave it a little bit of a treat or a gift, or full on embrace it if that's what you're ready to do. So we're actually going to start this meditation completely differently than we usually do. I did a Kundalini practice today, and that one of the things I love about yoga, again, I've been doing Kundalini yoga for over 25 years, and I did a class today, an online class, and the teacher said something and did an exercise, and it was like all over again. I was like, how did I not know this for 25 plus years? And it was such a great exercise. I did a class specifically for fear today. So I'm going to describe this because it's a breathing method. It's kind of and it's a physical, there's actually a physical component to this, and we've never done this before. So we're going to do some deep breathing. We do that every week. So you got that covered. You got to breathe to stay alive. So that part's easy. And what she called this was basically like a yoga. She called it a yoga teacher's secret for dealing with fear, because it's very grounding. And I found as we did this, that's how I decided we should do this for the meditation tonight. I found it so grounding and calming. And again, I was like, oh, there's a tool for my toolbox. And, in it goes. And it's something that I'm definitely going to use. So I wanted to teach it to you. So we're going to use something that's called Mula Band. And there's these different locks in Kundalini yoga. You don't need to know too much about that, but essentially what a lock is it's a way of kind of like holding some muscular strength in your body in order to move energy in a specific way. So Mula Band is a deep pelvic lock, and it's kind of like doing a Kegel. If you've done Kegels before, then it's a little bit like that, but it's actually even deeper. So from the very inside of your low belly, of your pelvis, you're going to kind of pull up. And you can actually see it does kind of move your belly a little bit. Like you can see my hand kind of moving as I do that. So as you pull up on the belly, you're also going to kind of squeeze, what they say in Kundalini is squeeze sex organs, and anus, pelvis and anus. I don't know now. I can't remember, but essentially you're going to squeeze the whole bottom of your body, starting with that pelvic kind of squeeze and then squeezing from below, just like you were doing a Kegel, like you were just squeezing everything together. And we're going to do this in a specific way. And this is what she said was kind of this life hack for fear. So as we breathe in, we're going to stay very relaxed. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. And then as we exhale, we're going to start to apply that Mula Band lock. So as you're breathing out, you're going to start to pull up on the pelvis, and you're going to kind of start to squeeze all that stuff down there that you squeeze if you're doing a Kegel. And then as you breathe out completely, you're going to hold that for a second and then completely relax and breathe in again. And we're going to do that for maybe a minute or two to start the meditation, breathing in slowly. As you breathe out, starting to apply that Mula Band, starting to pull up on the pelvic floor, all those deep muscles of the pelvic floor, holding the breath out for just a moment. Don't get like crazy with it. Relaxing and then breathing back in. And again, I found this to be so grounding. I found it to be very loving, and it gave me that feeling that I was talking about of this deep spiritual strength that we're going to draw on for our spiritual bravery meditation. So we're going to do that special kind of breathing to start. And then we're going to kind of check in with our fear monster a little bit. Maybe just wave at it, maybe pull the blanket up and then like drop it and go like, okay, that's there. At any point along that sort of guidance, feel free to stop. You don't have to go as far as I guide you. You know, you can look and stop. You can resume that kind of breathing if you felt like that really was serving you. You can use the oxytocin breath where you sigh out with the ha, and that will, if you have a fear response kicking up, that's not going to serve you. And that's kind of why we're starting this in a way that's going to get us really grounded. The best way to deal with fear is to get into the body and ground and feel safe before you even go there. Because if you're in a state of panic, as we talked about a week or so ago, you know, if you're in that sympathetic mode, then it's hard to make progress. It's hard to release any of that fear. It's hard to embrace the fear if you're kind of in a panic. So if you start getting, you know, if you start feeling kind of that sympathetic response, step back in the meditation, step back into that Mula Band breathing, and just continue that, and then rejoin us as you're ready, or don't, just continue to breathe. And at the end of the meditation, we're going to do some beautiful expansive work. So hang out until we get there, and then join us for that if that's what feels comfortable to you. So let's meditate together. So for this meditation, I do recommend that you sit. You can sit in a chair with your feet on the ground. That's great. You can sit somewhere where you have your back supported if that works better for your body. You can sit on the floor if you'd like, and again, you can support yourself by kind of leaning against a wall or lifting your bottom up on a cushion or a blanket. But do sit up for this meditation if you are able to. And then we're going to begin first by just practicing that Mula Band, that pelvic lock. So before you do anything with your breathing, just let yourself breathe normally and practice pulling up the pelvic floor, pulling in at that low belly, pulling up the pelvic floor and then squeezing the rectum, the sex organs, everything down there like you would for a Kegel. And then practice releasing. And as you release, really let yourself release all the way. And you may notice as you do this more that you'll actually get access to more release. A lot of us are kind of hypertoned. We have a lot of musculature that is tight in the pelvis. So by squeezing everything and then releasing it, we're actually introducing more relaxation. And that's what gives us that grounding, that ability to send the energy down into the earth. So try that just 1 or 2 more times without any special breathing. Just pull in at the pelvis, pull up the pelvic floor, squeeze everything down there. And then as you're ready, relax it and release it. And really focus on releasing as much as possible, letting all that tension flow out. And now let's introduce that long, deep breathing. So you're going to breathe in deeply through the nose. And as you breathe out through the nose or the mouth, that's up to you. Begin to squeeze, pull in that pelvis, squeeze everything, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. As you get to the bottom, hold that for just a moment and then release and breathe in again. Nice, deep, slow breath. And as you begin to breathe out, start to pull that low belly in, start to pull up on the pelvic floor, start to squeeze everything as you completely let your breath out. Hold that for just a moment or two, and then totally relax and slowly breathe back in again through the nose. As you breathe out, begin to pull in at the belly, begin to squeeze everything, lift that pelvic floor, really hold that for just a moment, hold that breath out for a moment, and then completely relax. Breathing in, let this be a flow, let this be effortless as much as you can. As you're breathing out again, then pull in that belly, that pelvis, pull everything up, squeeze it. Hold that breath out for just a moment, and then fully relax. Really let all of that tension go from your low body. Breathing in again. As you breathe out, pulling in the belly, pulling up on the pelvic floor, squeezing, holding for just a moment, and then fully relaxing, breathing in. Continue to do this for just a moment. I'm going to stop guiding you just in case your breathing cadence may be different than mine. I don't want to be distracting. But remember, as you breathe out, to start applying that Mula Bandh, start pulling in, start squeezing. And then as you're breathing out, as the breath is completely out, just hold that for a moment. And as you're doing this for the last maybe 30 seconds or so, start to notice the shift in your body. Notice if you feel more grounded, heavier. Maybe your feet feel more firmly connected to the earth. Maybe you feel that energy actually coming out from the base of your spine and down into the earth, really connecting you, feeling really safe and supported here, recognizing the strength that the earth provides with its beautiful support of us. And continuing to breathe that way if you'd like. You can let it go if this starts to get effortful, if you start to feel like you're trying too hard, if you start to get tired physically, then just let that squeezing go and continue to breathe deeply. If it's working for you, just continue for 1 or 2 more breaths here as we call that divine energy in through the top of our head, that golden light, just effortlessly letting it flow down the body here. You may feel a very strong current, as I do, of energy already pulling that down from doing this breath. So if you haven't released the breath, just take 1 more in this way. And as you're ready for this final time, really release that energy, release that holding. Let your breathing relax to whatever feels good to you. You can continue to breathe deeply or just let go for a moment. Notice how you feel here. Notice how connected to the earth you feel. Notice how easily this energy, this intuition, this light flows in through your head and down through your entire body, and then down into the earth, cementing this connection of spiritual and earthly energies that serves us so well in this spiritual bravery process. And as you're ready here, if you'd like, if you're familiar and comfortable with this, you can draw your energetic sanctuary to you just for an added feeling of safety. If you're not familiar with that, just imagine that you're sitting right now in the most beautiful, the safest space you can imagine. This is a special sanctuary just for you. Nothing can hurt you here. Nothing can enter unless you allow it. Any fears that come up here cannot harm you in any way, physically, emotionally, energetically. And remember, as we move forward in this meditation, that you're welcome to stop at any point. You're welcome to step back at any point. You're welcome to just return to that beautiful breathing where you breathe in and out and apply that root lock, that pelvic lifting and squeezing. And that will bring you back into your body and out of that fear response. But as you're ready, perhaps place your hands on your belly if you'd like. You don't have to, but it may help. And just send your mind down inside the belly. And look around for that fear monster. And you may be guided to a different area of your body than the belly, and that's completely fine. As always, follow your intuition here. But as you find your monster, no need to approach, just kind of be aware that it's there. If you'd like to use that visualization of kind of peeking under the bed, just take a quick look. And if it's really scary, like step back, that's completely fine. But maybe you kind of just get a look. Maybe your monster's a little bit cute. Maybe your monster's got some funny little horns or something. If you're able to, if you're comfortable or even slightly uncomfortable, just gaze at your monster for a minute. Notice that this fear is here. There's no need to do anything about it. And there's no need to react right now. There's no need to let this fear throw you into that sympathetic. We're really deeply in that relaxation mode right now. So look on this fear as an observer. If it helps, you can even imagine that you're looking at someone else's belly. You're looking under someone else's bed. If that helps you feel safer, you can do that. But if you can, stay with your own body. Stay with your own monster. If you're ready, give your monster a gift. It may seem completely opposite in your mind. It may seem like an oxymoron. Why would I give something to my fear? But giving a gift to anything softens it. When you give a gift to a person, they smile and they soften and their heart opens. So give a gift to your fear here. This can be a physical representation of something like a flower or a feather, whatever comes to you intuitively here. Maybe you're gifting your fear monster with just a color or some light. Maybe you'd like to send some sound into your fear monster. Let this come completely intuitively here. And just gently leave this. You don't have to hand it directly to the monster. You don't have to get up close and personal. You can just place it in front of your monster and know that your monster has softened just by receiving this gift. And this is a beautiful place to stay. This is a beautiful place to return to that Mulaband, that root lock breathing that we started with, if you'd like. But if you're ready to move forward, if you're ready to move in a little bit more intimately with your fear monster, perhaps you actually put a hand on the monster. Perhaps you actually look into that monster a little bit and start to bring clarity to this fear. What is this fear? What is at the root of this fear? Why is it so scary to you? And again, we're doing this from such a relaxed place. There's no need to feel that fear at this moment. It's almost like we're just exploring it a little bit. Again, still in that observer state, just bringing a little clarity to this fear, to what's at the root of this fear. And again, you can stop at any time, you can step back, you can return to that beautiful breathing that we started with. And if you're ready to move a little further now, touch your fear monster. Send love through your hand into your fear monster. And this love has no expectation. This is divine love. We are not attached to the outcome here. We're just saying to this fear monster, I see your pain. I see your suffering, and I send you love. I gift you love. We're not expecting the fear monster to disappear or go away. We're just befriending it by sending it love. Everything deserves love. Everything is love. So your fear monster, underneath all of that fear, is love, is that divine energy. Just reintroduce this divine energy to your fear monster. And again, you can stop here, you can step back, you can return to that breathing. But the final step here is to fully embrace your fear monster. And you don't have to fully understand the fear. You don't have to have full clarity about what it is or where it came from at this moment. Just step in and embrace your fear monster. Let your heart meet the heart of your fear monster and recognize that it's the same heart. It's the same beautiful divine light and energy. Just let those hearts touch for however long you'd like, just a moment, a little longer if you're there. No judgments here. Step back at any time. Return to that breathing as needed. And now I want you to step back from your monster. Perhaps you leave one more gift. Perhaps you blow a kiss with the promise to return. This monster is lonely. This monster is just asking for love. So promise your monster that you will visit when you can. And then take a deep oxytocin breath. Really draw the belly forward as you breathe in and sigh it out with that audible ha sound. And then just sit for a moment, noticing the shift in your body, in your energy field, in your emotional field. If you're feeling fearful, if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, return to that root lock breathing, that Mula Bandh breathing. Breathing in slowly through the nose, and then beginning to pull in that low belly, pull up on the pelvic floor, squeeze everything as you breathe out, and then holding for just a moment, and then relaxing and breathing in. You can do that a few times, as many times as you need to bring yourself back into this rooted, grounded, calm state. And the very last part of this meditation, we're just going to take a moment to connect with our spiritual bravery. It's different for each of us. What are you here to do? How are you here to serve divine energy on this planet? How have your fears gotten in the way of you seeing that, of even asking that question? So as you're ready, from this calm state, with that intuitive flow still coming in through the top of your head, ask yourself, what is my spiritual bravery? How can I serve myself and divine energy through my spiritual bravery? What is the next step in my life in stepping fully into my spiritual bravery? And then let those questions go. Let whatever comes to you intuitively come to you. If nothing comes to you, that's completely fine. You can always come back to this. It may take a few times through this meditation to feel really grounded, to feel really connected to that spiritual bravery, to that deep knowing, that deep strength that comes from the bottom of your belly here, from the earth itself, that intuitive flow that tells you, that gives you the deep knowing of who you are and what you're meant to do and who you're meant to be. And there's fear around that, and that's okay. That's why we're exploring this in a safe space that you can return to whenever you'd like, to delve deeper into your spiritual bravery. You are brave, you are courageous, and you are resilient. Let yourself feel that fully in your body now, fully in your emotions, fully in your mind. You are so loved and supported by this divine love, by this unconditional energy that is always around us. Be brave. Let yourself excavate. Let yourself continue this work. Let yourself step fully into who you're made to be. Sat Nam. Truth is your identity, and that identity is beautiful, and that identity is brave. As you're ready, just come back fully into your mind, into your body. Affirm with me out loud. I am fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body, and I am brave. I am fully present in my body, and I step into divine flow. As you're ready, very slowly, very gently, begin to move your body. Just reminding yourself that you're here in this safe space. Letting go of any fear that came up during the meditation, shaking it out if you need to, out of the body. You're fully safe and supported. If you'd like, you can gently allow that crown chakra, the top of the head, to close, or leave that intuitive flow open for your highest good, and know that it is for your highest good. Move your hands and wrists around a little bit, maybe move your head and neck. Just very slowly coming back into this moment, carrying this deep relaxation and bravery with you into the rest of your evening and your week. And as you're ready, very gently, very slowly, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for allowing me to be brave. We support each other, and this practice supports us. This connection with the earth and with that divine flow supports us. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Have a courageous rest of your week. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.